And then next is Ben, and he's going to do a demo on the Minimoog. Do you say Moog or Moog?
Moog like Vogue.
Like Vogue.
So does anybody know who Robert Moog is? A few people.
Let's talk about him.
He's kind of considered to be the grandfather of synthesizers. This machine right here started being produced in 2002. It's an updated version of the Minimoog Model D. They went through the Model A, the Model B, the Model C, and finally got to the Model D after an extensive amount of tinkering. The reason why this synthesizer exists, well, the original version of this synthesizer exists, is because back when synthesizers were becoming musical instruments that people wanted to take with them, these modular synths would take up entire rooms. They were just absolutely massive. They weren't a traveling instrument. So there was a big push for somebody to make something that had that big sound that they could take on the road with them. So initially in about the mid-60s, Bob Moog filed the patents for most of the circuitry that went into these synthesizers. It was finally patented through the US government in, I believe, '69 for everything that would go into these. And then by 1970, they started selling the Minimoog Model D. I believe it was at that point in time, the equivalent of about $9,500, so almost 10 grand to purchase this little tiny box that had musical capability. This machine right here, I purchased in 2008. When I ordered it, they are custom built for what you want. You can get any combination of wood and backlighting, so it has this really unique feature. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but it has a light panel that's actually a sheet that goes behind all of this. So if you're playing on a dark stage, you can actually have a readout of everything. It does get a little on the warm side, and they do have a tendency to burn out over time. So I normally keep it down, but I turn it up for this because it's a little bit easier to see. When I ordered this, I was messing around on the forums, and I saw that they were doing a unique mod to make the pitch and mod wheels sync the lighting with the LFO. So this was the first synthesizer that Moog produced that has that option in it. I actually got a phone call from Amos, if anyone is familiar with Moog. He does all of their creation of new equipment. So jumping into what this thing actually is, it is an all analog synthesizer with digital control. So as you can see, there's a lot of knobs on the front. It has that tactile interface, but also internal controls of the modulation routing. So it uses control voltage for all of the parameters. It does have, if you want to really get into it, this expansion pack. It uses just I don't think I have a cable over here. The old 25-pin connections that you would see on equipment and printers from the the 80s and stuff. Anybody who has modular synthesizers will know that this bag that I have back here is just absolutely chock full of cables. There's no way to keep them separated from one another, but yeah, there's all sorts of these things in order to route your signal path. So this actually plugs into the back here on the accessory port, and it allows all the functions of this synthesizer to be piped into this. So this will give you everything that the modulation section of this synthesizer is doing and all of the controls can be routed to here so that you can control other synthesizers with them. So, it is a 3 oscillator synth. The oscillator number 3 also functions as an LFO. It does have an LFO in it. It has a noise generator. It has one of the most beautiful filters that has ever been created, an envelope section, and a touch surface that has both X, Y, and area control, and after pressure. So when you push down a key, you can have the after pressure do whatever type of modulation you would want. So this preset right here is just the oscillator 1. It's currently set on a triangle wave, so we can see that there. It has infinitely variable wave shape, so you can take and sweep the shape of the oscillator to a sawtooth, and then you can start rounding it over to square. I don't know if that's coming in. Yeah, it's going to start doing that, and then pulsed. So that's basically just the basic sound of the oscillator, kind of your, standard TV test signal is what you're going to get. Once you start,
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What's area? You had mentioned the term area. I'm
yeah,
not familiar
okay.
with that. What's
So everybody knows X and Y. You're going to go this way, you're going to go this way. But also area. So if you take and you mash your hand onto this, or you take and you have multiple fingers that you use in order to control it, it actually takes an area input of what you are touching in order to shape your sound.
That's great.
So it adds another dimension of controlling all the parameters. So I can just jump in and show you that you can select your octave range, so you can get nice beefy low notes. So then here you have your mixer, so we can turn on oscillator. Whoop, I lost sound. Did something. Oh. Well. Huh. Let's check.
There we go.
All right. So then you can turn on another oscillator. And of course, it has the ability to, you can set the frequency to make them match exactly what you would want, or you can give it that organic drift that sounds, it can also have different wave shape, and you can also give it different octaves. So then you start adding oscillator 3 in, and I believe, so oscillator 3 can also be used as an LFO, which allows for much more modulation, but as an oscillator, it gives you that absolutely gigantic sound. And then, of course, since this is a monophonic synthesizer, you can only play one note at a time, you can create chording using different frequencies on different oscillators. So that's the oscillator section. You can sync oscillator 1 and 2 together. You can have oscillator 3 do frequency modulation of oscillator 1. You can have oscillator 3 also be controlled by the keyboard, so it will vary depending on what note you are playing, and you can also change the frequency to make it either high or low frequency operation of the oscillator. So right now it's in low, and you can kind of hear it thump in here. I'll turn these. So now you can hear it in the low frequency range. So, turn these back on. Now, this synthesizer has the ability to have digital control over every parameter. So anybody who's familiar with the old Model D knows that if you want to play one sound and then you want to change to play another sound, you have to crank and twist knobs, and you better know what all your settings were. A lot of people had cheat sheets so that when they were setting up their synth, they could revert back to something that they had patched before. This one, it's all stored inside the machine. Wherever you leave a knob, you can save that. There are 7 banks. Each bank has 128 presets, and you can cycle through them while you're playing. So if you wanted to use this synth as a performance machine and get a whole bunch of different sounds out of it, you can build a performance into it and then just cycle through your presets. So, getting to the filters, that is where this synth really starts to show. Beautiful, beautiful filter. Of course, the envelope, everybody knows attack, decay, sustain, release. That's pretty self-explanatory. I can just go through and show you some of the internal presets of what this can do. A lot of people might know some of these sounds. So this one right here, I think most people would know. Everybody's heard that at the beginning of the song. It does, let's see if I can find it. When you're selecting through presets, there's a lot of, let's do this. Okay, so. Let's go to, this one is motion. You can hear internally it is being, the modulation is being routed from the sampling hole to control the filter. Normally, if you're going to do that on an earlier version of this synthesizer, you would have to take a patch cable and then from your run the signal that is the sampling hole signal to the filter. All that is done internally inside this machine, but with this, it gives you the ability to take that and run it into any other CD voltage synthesizer. They also make these little guys. They're called motor photors. This one here is a ring modulator, but they have all sorts of different effects that you can use. And this also has control voltage inputs, so anything you do on this will control that. I didn't have time to set all this up because, once again, this is a modular synthesizer crammed into a tiny little box. It can do a whole lot of things. It has amazing capabilities, and it's one of the most influential synthesizers that has ever been created. So I would suggest that if people have time, come up here and go through all of the presets, because there are things that will blow your mind as far as how big the sound can be. The 8-bit game sounds, cursor, go to this, and where is it? There's one, bang. There are an enormous number of presets in here that have this. This has no delay or effects added to it. This is all just the Any questions? The what?
Can you load it with new presets?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you can download presets to it. There are plenty of artists out there that have created different presets for this machine. And then you can also, once you change a preset, you can again save that. If you you can start with like just maybe that sound or weird bells, and then you can modify that to whatever you want and save it. So banks, it has the 7 banks, 6 of them are completely full with just sounds that have been created, and then there was basically an entire bank that you could save whatever sounds that you would want into. But they are all capable of being rewritten, so you can make as much music as you want with one tiny little box.
And it's mono? It's a mono synth?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So one note at a time. It's quite expensive to play one note at a time. This, I believe, when I bought it, was about $3,400. It's the reason why I got it and over any other synthesizer is that the sound that comes out of this is just that pure analog gigantic sound, and you cannot get it really any other way. There's no, the emulations now are fairly decent, but the analog circuitry just gives you that warmth that is uncomparable to anything digital.
That's one of the things I noticed with oscilloscope is how clean the signal was. You know, it wasn't a noisy or broken up wave. It was just really, even with the filters were more complex, it was still very clean.
And so this one is called Lucky Man, so anybody know who. I'll just show you kind of the distance that this thing can travel. So this is the lowest note, and we are going to turn the glide on and the glide rate all the way up, and we will take it from 0 to infinity. So it has just immense control over absolutely every sonic idea you could ever think of.
Oh, wait.
Awesome.
That's great.
Wow. Yeah, it's
And back down.
it has the ability to create, let's see if I can find one in here, percussion, like drums, sound effects, softly. It is set up for stereo output. When you can route the filter or absolutely anything from one channel to the next internally. It's a lot to change that because you only have 5 buttons on the front, so it's a lot of button pushing in order to route everything inside. But cranking on the knobs is the most fun with this machine.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
And we'll have a free time after this where you can come up and mess around with it, turn knobs, play keys, wherever you want. So,
Cool. All right.
all right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you again, everyone, for coming tonight. Again, it's free time. You can come up and check out the synths, play them, chat with whoever, whether they're a performer or not. And thank you again to CSPS for allowing us to host this.
No,